The House Ways and Means Committee yesterday released documents, their authenticity nowhere challenged. That included a July 2017 WhatsApp message sent by Hunter Biden to Henry Zhao, a Chinese Communist Party official, which stated in its entirety, and I quote, "I am sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight. And Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows, and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father," unquote. So just a couple of questions about this. First, does this not undermine the president's claim during the 2020 campaign and the reaffirmations of that claim by his two press secretaries since then, that he never once discussed his son's overseas business dealings with him?
No, and I'm not going to comment further on this.
We're good.
I'm not. James, let me save you some. Let me save you some breath. If you're going to ask about this, I am not addressing. I know you do more than I'd like you to have. I am not going to address this issue from this podium. I'm just not going to do it.
All right.
I'm not going to do
Where
it.
was the president on the day of that
Thank
message?
you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great
Son was at
weekend.
the father's house.
Okay. Zeke, you want to kick us off?
Thanks, Karine. Just following up on John Coombs Johnson, the president's press conference yesterday. Does the president continue? Will you say that Xi Jinping is a dictator? Is that the official position of the U.S. government?
Look, the president spoke for himself. I'm just not going to go beyond what he said. John just spoke to it, and then feedback. It's weird hearing your voice.
So
Is it good? We're good to go? No. I object. Hello?
Do you need me to call Walker, or is it I think you should call Walker.
All right, I'll try my best here. This sounds so weird, guys. So, look, the president's going to continue to speak candidly. That will never change. About China, as he's done the last 2 years, and he'll talk about the differences, clearly, that they have. And disagreements. That is something that the president, if you think about the president believing in diplomacy, believing in having, that's what the president's going to do. He's, as you know, you guys have covered him for some time. He's very candid. He speaks honestly, but he also
MAGA, despite the Office of Special Counsel's opinion on the matter, your office has continued to put out a paper using that phrase. You have in the past have brushed off all questions about any political concern, saying this administration follows the law. So why, in this case, are you going with your own interpretation of the law rather than the independent office?
Oh, I wouldn't say it's our own interpretation of the law. I would strongly disagree with that statement. What I'll say more broadly, and there's a couple of points that I want to make here, so look, the White House counsel's office is reviewing, as I mentioned last week, OSC's opinion and having a routine dialogue with them. That's what we're doing. That's what we said last week, and that's what's going to continue. It is an ongoing process, and we believe from here, from the podium, from this administration, it's our duty to be transparent with the American people. That's what you see from us, and it's not. on the agenda, right, on the president's policies, on the president's values, and about the agenda. That's what we want to be transparent about. And look, just a couple of facts here. OSC has said that they view terms like Tea Party as acceptable, and this is a similar phrase, right? When you think about when you think about MAGA. In fact, OSC itself stated that MAGA could be used for official purposes during the Trump administration and permitted Mick Mulvaney to repeatedly use the term in his official capacity. So congressional Republicans has also used the term, as I mentioned here last week when I was asked about this, the same phrase to discuss their own agendas, their own proposals, their own policies. And so we have used the term MAGA in an official capacity as we are, when you think about the context, when we talk about their proposals, that's how we've used it, and their related values, as Republican officials say. And so we never directed it towards a campaign. We've never done that because, again, we respect the rule of law and have not done that. And so that will continue to be the case. And again, this is being reviewed. There's a conversation that's going to happen with our White House counsel and OSC, but I'll let that process continue.
Thanks, Karine. Former Vice President Mike Pence is calling on every GOP presidential candidate to endorse a 15-week abortion ban. In what ways does this administration expect that abortion access and reproductive rights would be targeted if Republicans take control of the White House?
So I just want to be really mindful, as I was just asked about the Hatch Act. I'm not going to comment on any specific Republican candidate here or anything that's related to 2024. What I can speak to easily is more broadly, and we've seen it. You've heard me at the top talk about how this president and the vice president is going to continue to fight for fundamental rights as we see it when it comes to reproductive rights, when it comes to having access and women being able to make a decision on their own body, to have that conversation with doctors. That's something that the president's going to and the vice president's going to continue to fight on. As it relates to just more broadly here, to your question about the 15-week or 12 weeks, whatever it is, look, we have seen from Americans, majority of Americans, who do not want politicians making their healthcare decisions for them. That's been clear. We've seen that in majority of Americans, of every ideology, right? If you think about that. And so what we are going to continue to do, what we are committed to those Americans, a majority of Americans, all Americans across the country, is that we're going to continue to fight, and the president has been very clear, to restore the protections of Roe. And we believe that needs to happen through national legislation.
How worried is the White House that Republicans in Congress or state legislatures will target contraception next?
Look, I mean, it is a concern, right? In this state house, just this session alone, right, in 2023, we have seen more than 300 bills attacking reproductive rights, reproductive health care, right, including contraception, either eliminating it or limiting it. And that's a problem. And that's why we've continued to speak to this. We think about the executive order, the third one that this president signed today, to find ways for agencies to find ways to really protect contraception for women. And so the president's going to take action. You're going to hear from both the president and the vice president later today. The vice president's going to be in North Carolina tomorrow. You saw the first lady having really impactful, powerful conversations with women and what they've had to deal with. We have seen stories that many of you have written about when you take away that access, that type of healthcare access for women. It's hurt women. It's put their lives at risk. Literally put their lives at risk. This is what we have seen this past year with these really extreme pieces of legislation. So the president and the vice president are going to continue to be very, very clear about this. They're going to continue to fight for those fundamental rights and continue to call on Congress to restore order.
Just quickly on the executive action, largely symbolic. I mean, are you at the end of the line here when it comes to what you can do without steps from Congress?
So let me just make clear, I do want to speak about that a little bit. It builds on the progress that we believe that we have made already in expanding contraception access for women. If you think about the Affordable Care Act, it helped millions of women save billions of dollars on birth control that they need and want. And so we understand that there are gaps still as it relates to that. And so that's what this executive order does today. It does a couple of things. It safeguards access. It's strengthening access to affordable, high-quality contraception and family planning services. It increases contraception options. It lowers out-of-pocket costs. It maximizes contraception through access through the following ways: insurance coverage for those covered under the Affordable Care Act, as I just mentioned, Medicaid, Medicare, federal federal-funded healthcare programs, including community health centers and also Title X clinics, and the Indian Health Service, public education targeted at employees, college students, veterans, and service members. So we don't believe this is symbolic. We believe that this is another step to really deal with this gap that we're seeing across the country, and to do everything that we can to continue to fight for fundamental